Have you ever received a message from someone that completely stops you in your tracks? Well, that's how I felt whenever Todoist user and PhD mathematics student Anastasia reached out to us with this message. How do you know you're doing it well enough? How do you know you've reached a good enough level of productivity? No matter how much I do in one day and how many tasks I complete, I still feel I have not done enough. This leaves me thinking that my productivity system is not good enough, and yet I'm not behind on any of my projects. I feel like it's about a shift in the way that I'm thinking, but it is something I've been struggling with for a while. Any thoughts, advice you can share on this would be much appreciated. Well, Anastasia, this one hit me hard. Not only because I have been where you are and also slip into this brain groove semi-frequently, but I also receive quite a lot of questions like this. Quite a lot of people want to know what is productive enough. The problem with to-do lists, and yes, I get the irony given where I work, is that by very nature, they are never ending. And so you check things off and then you add more things. And so it becomes hard to find satisfaction because it feels like a Sisyphean climb. Personally, what I have learned, and I would be super keen to hear other people's thoughts on this, is that there are two parts to the solution. Number one, rather than pinning your inherent value on the quantity of tasks that you can complete in a day, try garnering a sense of pride and satisfaction in time well spent. And number two, recognize that time well spent does not always look productive by society's standards. One of the most profound shifts that I have made is focusing on how I spend my time, because time is finite. However, our tasks can be infinite. Focusing on time allows you to set realistic guardrails for what is going to be too much in a day, while also leaving enough room to really nourish and recharge yourself for the days ahead. Now, let me explain in real life terms what this means. The example that I'm going to give here happened last year, so don't worry, everybody's okay. A while back, during a particularly busy work period, because it always happens then, I got a phone call from my son's school to say that he was unwell. That phone call quickly escalated into a trip to the emergency department with him, and we had a couple of days where he was really quite unwell. Now, as kids can only do, he bounced back incredibly quickly, and my husband was home and I was able to return to work. Obviously, my son takes priority, so once I knew he was okay, previous versions of me would then have started panicking about the backlog of workload that I had left and I'd need to return to, and a lot of time-sensitive things that had to get done. I probably would have piled in extra working hours to try to accommodate all of these tasks and burnt myself out even more. But looking at this situation through the lens of time well spent has a very different outcome. Number one, I was already tired and depleted from looking after my son, so adding more work hours was not going to be time well spent. Time well spent looked like spending time with my family and protecting my personal time for rest. Number two, since I now needed to whittle 5 days of tasks down to 3 days, time well spent at work looked like finding what of those tasks were priority one, P1 as we call them. What were my P1 tasks? And then everything else that wasn't priority needed to get shifted to the next week. Number three, to make sure that those P1 tasks actually fit into my 3 days, I give every task a due date and a task duration in Todoist. If you're a pro subscriber, you can now also see these in weekly calendar layout in your upcoming view, which is super helpful. I honestly live by this view in my Todoist now. But remember, you can time block using any calendar or a notepad. So if you don't have Todoist Pro and it's not in your budget, then you can still give this tactic a try. Number four is that I simply execute the tasks that I have time blocked in the time frame that I have allotted. No worrying, no feeling like I've not done enough, no trying to cram more work in. I know that I have done my best with the circumstances and the time that I have. Now that was a pretty atypical example of what time management versus task management looks like. So here are a few more realistic examples so you can see what I mean. Sometimes I'll get up at 5 a.m. and write a video outline because I woke up with inspiration and I know it's best captured while the idea is fresh in my mind. And to me, although it's outside of my working hours, that is time well spent. Likewise, I will sometimes, on a glorious day like today, extend my lunch break by 15 or 20 minutes just so that I can sit and bask in the very rare vitamin D levels that we get here in Scotland. And to me, that is also time well spent. Postponing similar tasks to another day where I can batch them all together and avoid as much context switching would be time well spent. Yes, I would like to get them off of my to-do list today, but it would take me a lot less time if I can put them all together and tackle them in one go. And on a Friday night, sometimes time well spent looks like getting my kids off to bed and then sitting with a pointless TV show and a gooey chocolate brownie. Yes, I probably have a mountain of laundry to put away, but where is the luxury in that? By training yourself to gain satisfaction from how you've spent your time rather than how you have arbitrarily shortened a never-ending to-do list, you can gain a lot more peace. Peace in knowing that this is what I can allot for today, and I'm perfectly okay with just doing that, no more. We could probably talk a whole lot more on the topic of combating toxic productivity. If you would like to see more like this, then do let us know in the comments below. There is a lot to be said for treating yourself like an actual human with a life to live rather than a machine. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Number 4, I simply execute the tasks. And then on a Friday night, and on a Friday night, and on a Friday night, and on a Friday night. There is so much to be said for treating ourselves like humans with lives to live. Lives to live? Lives to live. What?